gonna come here, you're gonna come in here, and I'm gonna invite every team I can, teams who are interested in you, and we're gonna go out here and just show them what you can do, man. Working my way back, building the body up, and just trying to get ready for another opportunity. I just been grinding, man. I mean, obviously, I was in Portland for that year and stuff like that. I had that little stint with the Clippers before I got waived, but I mean, ever since then, it's been grinding, man.
I was on the Stairmaster when I found out this news. The moment I found out about it, I ran off and didn't even shower, drove straight home so I could record this video. Disgusting, yes. Why? Because I'm really invested in Harry Giles III's story. It's a story that I've been following ever since he's been in high school, and it's one that's near and dear to my heart. I guess I'm very empathetic whenever I see players that are on the cusp of stardom, but get it all taken away due to tragedy. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. My Super Bowl picks that I made in my content with the Patrick Mahomes free square didn't hit, but the one that I posted onto my story did hit, and you guys let me know how much money you made in my DMs. And now that the NFL season's over, we're officially directing our attention to the NBA. I give away my picks for free at TheFlightMike on Instagram, and right now, when you sign up for Prize Picks, use promo code FlightMike to get up to a $100 deposit match when you sign up on Prize Picks. Or you can just use my link in the description down below. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? God damn, I'm so wet and nasty. If you opened up the 2016 recruiting rankings, you would see by far one of the most disappointing basketball recruiting classes of all time. And it's not that these players are bad, it's that there was so much untapped potential in so many different ways. A lot of these players are already out of the league. Many of them are on their second team. Just taking a look at the top 10. At number 1, you have Josh Jackson. At number 3, you have Markelle Fultz. At number 4, you have the most successful player on this list in Jason Tatum. At number 5, you have Lonzo Ball. Underneath him, you have De'Aaron Fox, then Jonathan Isaac, Dennis Smith Jr., Bam Adebayo, Thon Maker, and Malik Monk. Now, each of these players had something really interesting going on about them. Markelle Fultz was supposed to be the most complete player in this entire class, but a freak injury occurred and his shooting form was never the same. But he's still carving out a nice little career for himself on Orlando, and honestly, that's something that needs more attention. Jason Tatum is the franchise cornerstone for the Boston Celtics. Lonzo Ball was really on an upward trajectory until a really weird injury took him out for the last 2 years. De'Aaron Fox has recently started breaking out, so has Malik Monk. Dennis Smith Jr. is a journeyman. Jonathan Isaac's solid whenever he's healthy, and Josh Jackson's out of the league. But the one person on this list that was number 2 overall that didn't really have a story like these other prospects was none other than Harry Giles. Harry Giles was the 2013 Max Preps National Freshman of the Year. He was All-American first team, and he was the crown jewel of Duke University's recruiting class. His game and length drew comparisons to players like Anthony Davis, but his frame allowed him to get away with significantly more. Things were going swimmingly for Harry Giles throughout the entirety of his career until tragedy would strike before he would even play college basketball. Before his senior season, Harry Giles transferred to Oak Hill Academy, and he would dominate the high school circuit for the majority of that season. However, his senior season would end with a torn ACL in his right knee. This happened during a scrimmage game, and unfortunately for Giles, this torn ACL coming at this stage of his career, this stage of his development, during very important years to work on your game, especially your senior year of high school and your freshman year of college, completely destroyed any opportunity that he would receive as a potential top 5 prospect. Harry Giles would play for 1 season with the Duke Blue Devils. He would play in 26 games, he would start in 6 games, but he would only play in 11.5 minutes per game. He barely played. He was like an end of the bench role player. The reason for this is because he had to miss up to 6 weeks to have surgery on his knee. Injuries completely sabotaged any ability of Harry Giles to get on the court. And surprisingly, despite this, Giles decided to enter the NBA draft at the conclusion of his freshman season, despite barely even playing. But he would get drafted based off of potential alone. The Sacramento Kings had nothing to lose and selected Harry Giles, their first round pick. pick. Now, for the 2 years that he played for Sacramento, he was solid to say the least. He didn't really get many meaningful minutes, but at this point, how could he? He missed out on very valuable developmental time. He would average 7 points per game with 3.8 rebounds in his first season with Sacramento, then 6.9 points per game, nice, and 4 rebounds in his second season with Sacramento, before he would get an opportunity with Portland and then just wash out of the NBA altogether. Now, this past year, Harry Giles attempted a comeback with the Brooklyn Nets, and in the time played, he was more of the same. At this point, he really is who he is and is just trying to figure out a niche for himself, but the Brooklyn Nets would go ahead and waive him. At this point, all Harry Giles is really good for is to make sure that you have an extra big man at the end of your bench just in case if you need additional depth. Luckily for Harry Giles, there is a team that is in the market for such a player. Los Angeles Lakers have been doing a great job at taking in reclamation projects, whether it was Malik Monk 2 years ago or Cam Reddish this past year. So there is a chance for Harry Giles to potentially get an opportunity here, as the Lakers are currently dealing with an injury to Christian Wood. Because according to Shams Charania and Adrian Wojnarowski, free agent Harry Giles III has agreed on a 2-way NBA contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. His agent Daniel Hazan of Hazan Sports Management told The Athletic and the Stadium. The Lakers are adding depth at the center position in wake of injuries to Christian Wood and Colin Castleton. Shams would continue to say that Giles, the number 20 pick in the 2017 NBA draft, made the Nets roster in training camp this season and averaged 3.4 points and 4.1 rebounds in 5 minutes per game over 16 contests for Brooklyn. Now adds front court presence in LA. The real reason I'm making this video, guys, is so we could bring some awareness to what could potentially be a really cool comeback story. Now look, I do think the odds of Harry Giles breaking into the Lakers rotation to begin with is a long shot, and people have been even making jokes about the fact that LeBron James is quite literally picking players based off of their old high school tapes. But that aside, man, it's a depth piece at the end of the day. It's a low risk, high reward depth piece. Harry Giles is still just 25 years old, so he could potentially be a good energy player for the Los Angeles Lakers. Do I think this is going to make or break the Los Angeles Lakers or win them a championship? No, I view this as the equivalent to when they signed Tristan Thompson a couple of seasons back in order to add additional depth for a potential playoff run. And that's about it. I'm really happy for Harry Giles getting his opportunity. I'm a little confused about how Harry Giles gets an opportunity as opposed to players like Dwight Howard or potentially DeMarcus Cousins. My only assumption here is the reason why those two individuals aren't getting as many opportunities is because maybe there's some character concerns, maybe there's some issues in the locker room. I'm not necessarily sure. At the end of the day, Harry Giles is a story that I've been following for quite some time. I'm going to be rooting for him all the way. I really hope he can turn his career around and play some meaningful minutes and potentially carve out a role for himself in the NBA, because he was supposed to be a really good player in the NBA, but unfortunately, injury sapped him of his potential. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.